Dear Credit Committee, my name is Orkhan Khanlarov, and today I'll be giving you a little presentation on the loan application of Wonderful Tea. Now, the majority of the presentation will be focusing on collateral risk analysis. Now, let's look at some of the purposes of this particular presentation. Now, the first purpose is, of course, to analyze the potential collateral risks that come with the categories of collateral provided to us by Wonderful Tea. Moreover, the presentation will look at some of the administrative requirements set by Irish law in regards to the perfection of collateral. And finally, the presentation will voice some of the concerns that might arise in regards to the loan application as a whole. Now, let's look at some of the basic facts about Wonderful Tea. Now, Wonderful Tea is an Irish company established in 2009. It is established by a husband and a wife. It is very much specialized in buying teas from different producers and creating their own unique and special blends. Moreover, there is a big charity function to Wonderful Tea because 50% of their net profits go to a charity helping to alleviate poverty in the tea growing regions. Now, as a company, Wonderful Tea is requiring 800,000 euros for a credit line for the period of 4 years. Now, let's take a look at the first collateral proposed by Wonderful Tea. This particular collateral is a pledge on machinery. To be more precise, it's 5 pieces of machinery for that packs tea bags, overall worth 200,000 euros in total. Now, most packing machinery generally has a lifespan of 8 years, and we already know that since it is machinery integral to the business of Wonderful Tea, it has already been in use, and moreover, it has the potential to be used for another 4 years for the duration of the loan. Now, machinery often has a high depreciation rate because of the wear and tear factor, because indeed this asset is used for the duration of the loan, and moreover, this might result in the 200,000 euros that the machinery is pledged in reduced to maybe even half of its price, depending on how strong the wear and tear factor very much is and how is the care for the machinery by Wonderful Tea. So another potential risk that might arise from the pledge on machinery is the fact that a tea packing piece of equipment can be considered as a niche piece of machinery. And when we're talking about niche pieces of equipment, it's usually quite hard to find a buyer in these sort of categories, and therefore it might be quite a challenge finding a buyer. And even if we do, because the market can be so scarce, we might even have to reduce the already reduced or already depreciated price from the wear and tear. Finally, once the collateral is seized, there's also some potential costs that might arise from pledge on machinery, which is to keep the machinery in storage while we look for a buyer. So that might be some additional costs, so additional risk for spending more money on this particular collateral. Now, the second collateral in question is a personal guarantee. And we're going to be talking about the first part of it, which is relating to real estate. Now, the personal guarantee is proposed by the founder of Wonderful Tea, and it is worth 500,000 euros. Now, generally, real estate is very much a solid form of collateral, since it doesn't usually depreciate. In fact, depending on the market value and sometimes location, it can appreciate in value over time. However, the risk in this particular case lies within the nature of the collateral itself, because it's a personal guarantee. Now, in case that Wonderful Tea defaults on paying the loan, there's a high chance that the owner of Wonderful Tea already has some financial troubles himself, and in this particular case, there is no guarantee that in case that the real estate is liquidated, that we will be the first ones to be paid. In fact, even if we do have a negative pledge on this real estate, it still does not guarantee that we will be the first ones paid, and we will be for the first in line to receive. So by the time it goes through liquidation and all the money is distributed through to all the other lenders, what might be left of the impressive 500,000 might be not very impressive. Therefore, that should be kept in mind as a risk, of course, that comes with any personal guarantee, and that it is very much a risky collateral, although very impressive in size of funds that it provides. Now, the second part of the personal guarantee is an A8 Audi car. Now, which is worth 150,000 euros. Now, this particular collateral poses a very, very high chance of risk because automobiles are infamous for high depreciation rates. And over the period of 4 years of use during the loan, the car value will very much depreciate, sometimes maybe in half in value. So not much will be indeed left of the original 150,000 euros. Although, of course, finding a potential buyer will not be an issue in this particular case, since the used car market is quite vast, and moreover, Audi, as a German brand, has quite an extensive and famous brand, and therefore won't find and therefore there won't be much trouble with finding a buyer. However, selling it for the original price would be next to impossible. Therefore, again, this type of collateral is also quite risky. Now, the third and the last type of collateral provided by Wonderful Tea is a mortgage on the warehouse. Now, the mortgage itself is worth 500,000 euros in total, and this mortgage collateral is quite solid as collateral. However, of course, even that does not come without risk. Now, the warehouse itself is situated in an industrial area, which of course can be quite an asset because in those industrial areas, warehouses are quite required for storing the product manufactured. However, there has also been a trend where lots of companies decide to have their warehouses far away from industrial areas, and they tend to prioritize having separate areas for their own machinery and for their own factories and for their own warehouses. So this, of course, can be both a detractor and an attractor when finding a buyer. And of course, once we seize the warehouse in case of default, there's of course the potential cost that might arise from it, which is the light bills and the security bills to ensure that no one enters the premises and does no damage to it. Now, the next topic that is going to be discussed during this presentation are the formalities of Irish jurisdiction in regard to perfection of collateral. I'm going to be talking about some of the administrative requirements that are set in regards to the categories of collateral provided by Wonderful Tea. So the first category is immovable property. So we did talk about how Wonderful Tea is providing lots of real estate, and in some case it can be regarded as the mortgage, of course, is also on the warehouse is also real estate. So it can be considered as immovable property. Now, the procedure for immovable property under Irish law very much depends on the land that the immovable property sits on, whether such land is unregistered land or registered land. Now, if the immovable property is situated on unregistered land, the property has to be registered with the Registry of Deeds. However, if it is on registered land, the immovable property has to be registered with the land registry. Now, moving on to mortgages. Under Irish law, details of the mortgages and specifics of the mortgages or charge created must be delivered to the company's registration office, otherwise known as CRO, within 20 days of the creation of the charge. So that is, there's again a time limit, a deadline that should be very much respected, and moreover, there's a mandatory e-filling with the Revenue Online Service, and that is done for the purposes of making sure that they know exactly the date and the time when the charge was made, when the mortgage was established, in order to, when in situations of dispute, to know exactly how to establish a priority of distribution in those sort of cases. Now, the last part is in regards to the movable property. So, for example, the machinery that we talked about. It is quite easy and quite simple under the Irish law. You must register the machinery and the movable property itself with the company's registrations office, otherwise known as CRO, as previously mentioned. Now, I'm going to be finally coming to the end of this presentation by discussing some of the overall concerns that might arise in regards to this loan application. Now, as mentioned in the beginning, there is a very much big charity function to a Wonderful Tea, since over 50% of their net profits go towards alleviating poverty in the tea growing regions. Now, of course, this is a very noble pursuit. However, at the same time, the company is taking the revolving credit line for expansion in order to buy new equipment, A, and B, to open new shops. This sort of expansion is very much capital demanding, and therefore, by submitting 50% of their profits to charity, it might very much limit their ability to not only grow, but also to pay off the loan that they're taking with us. So therefore, that might be a potentially big red flag in regards to accepting their loan application, or something to consider. Now, moreover, a very big large of collateral comes from personal assets of the founder, which, as discussed previously, can be quite a risky type of collateral. Of course, the collateral very much overall in its total sum covers the loan by quite a substantive bit, because the loan itself is 800,000 euros, and the total sum for the collateral is 1,350,000 euros. Now, although it does cover all of it, there's still a factor of depreciation that has to be taken into consideration. As previously mentioned, things like the car and the machinery very much depreciate in value quite substantially. So that also has to be taken into consideration. And also the fact that the personal assets are not as reliable as other types of collateral might also equate to big risk in regard to seizing the 800,000 from all of the collateral by the end. Now, these are some of the concerns in regarding to the loan application itself overall, and these are some of the concerns that definitely should be considered when looking at the application itself. Thank you so much for your attention, and I hope I've informed you well, and I hope you can make your decision in an informed manner, and thank you very much.